Smoking Guns podcast. We're back. We're better than ever. We're in some new places, and if you're watching on the video, you go, "Where is Philip?" Yeah, I'm in new digs, different digs. Just at the house today instead of at the office. My name is Philip Higginbotham. I'm joined, as always, by my friends Leo Yamas
What's up, Smoking Guns posse?
and R.C. Woods.
Hello, beautiful people. Mwah.
We are a podcast that deals with professional football in San Antonio. That is all inclusive. That includes the San Antonio Brahmas of the XFL, currently waiting for next season to start in February. It also includes the Gunslingers of the National Arena League, 4-0, undefeated on the season. And our good buddy Jeremy Knox, which we haven't seen for a while, jumps in on YouTube and says, "Guns up." That's right. Guns up, because they're 4-0 and we're excited. We're going to talk about
Woohoo!
We're going to talk all about XFL football. We're going to talk about the Gunslingers in our second hour. But first, we need to discuss this XFL Championship, because we are a podcast that talks about football in San Antonio, and there's a championship football game in San Antonio this week.
Yep,
right
in our backyard.
So the Brahmas aren't there. That would be nice. We would prefer that.
That would be better than nice.
Would be better than nice. Instead, we have to watch Arlington and the Renegades and the DC Defenders come into our precious Alamo Dome, into La Casa, and fight it out for the XFL trophy. We had hoped to get Stephanie Hoffman, who designed and created the XFL trophy. We had her all lined up to come tell us about the inspiration for the trophy and give us some insight on it. Unfortunately, she's traveling and not feeling well, so she had to cancel on us. So we won't be able to talk to Stephanie Hoffman. That's a bummer, but we will marshal on. In about 30 minutes, we do have Brian coming on from the Renegades, but he's not always been a Renegade, because they just started. He used to be a San Antonio Commander.
Cards up.
And so he is finally playing for a championship in the Alamo Dome just 4 years after he thought he would.
Is that crazy?
Right? Better late than never, I guess, right? He's wearing the wrong colors, though.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, are there right colors in this particular game?
No, not really. Yep.
I've really thought about this. I've really spent some time on it. DC and Arlington. I got to go with DC. I realize that Arlington is Texas, and I usually am all things Texas. I'm also from North Texas, so that should be a tie. But, man, Bob Stoops. I can't.
The Stoops factor.
I can't hope for Bob Stoops to win another championship. I just can't do it.
I'm still on the fence. I really don't want to vote. I really don't want to root for Arlington. But I can't think of a good reason to root for DC. And I kind of feel bad not rooting for our boy Luis Perez
and Brian.
Arlington Renegades. Well, of course, Brian. Yeah, he's former commander, and he's going to join the show.
Maybe he'll convince me. Maybe he comes on the show.
He's going to convince us. Yes, just the fact that he's agreed to join us, which is really
I'm already
nice
convinced.
Of him. That's a very strong argument right there. But we've been following Luis Perez since the very beginning of the AAF. When we were speculating on the first quarterback being taken, or who the Commanders would have under center, who we thought might be drafted, and we've just kind of been following him since then. So he deserves to have the opportunity that he's in right now. So I feel good for him about that. And I won't have any bad feelings if he happens to hoist that XFL trophy we were just talking about. I'd feel happy for him in that.
He has played at a high level this is now his third?
Yeah, that's third game. Yeah.
Spring league that he's played at a high level. He played at a high level in the XFL or in the AAF.
Yeah.
Not as high a level as we expected him to be honest, when he was with the Birmingham Iron, but he played well. And then he went to the XFL in 2020, played for the LA Wildcats, which was the San Antonio Brahmas, by the way, before they were the Brahmas. If you look at how things moved around, the to Vegas, the Guardians moved down to Orlando. The only other team that was left out there that moved or changed was the LA Wildcats that became the San Antonio Brahmas. So in a way, he has played for San Antonio before, just he didn't know that.
Right.
Nobody.
He couldn't
Okay.
connect the dots like Philip can.
Yeah. I thought you were
Well, go ahead.
I was saying, I thought you were saying that this was his third game with the Renegades
It
because
is.
he's bounced around, and it is, yeah. He's
Started
bounced
off in
around.
Vegas, didn't he?
Yeah, he started off in Vegas, and then didn't he have a stop somewhere between Vegas and Arlington, or no? Went
No.
straight to Arlington from
He went
Vegas.
straight to Arlington.
Yeah.
He also played, I believe, for the New Jersey Generals in the
Yes.
USFL last
Yes, he
year,
did.
last season. And now he is with you're right, he started out with the Vegas Vipers, moved from the Vegas Vipers over to Arlington mid-season. Now he is leading them in the championship game.
Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. I don't, I don't.
But there's that Bob Stoops thing.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Can't get over that.
I can't
swallow
cheer
it.
for Bob Stoops to win another championship. I made the joke last week, and it still stands strong. Like he can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep winning championships when he does very little work. Like he's an incredible recruiter, always was in college football. And that's what he has. Like he would come down to Texas, recruit a bunch of really good talent, take them up to Oklahoma, and then run the Big 12. And at one time that would win you national championships, and it worked. And then eventually the Big 12 was not what it was. And so you could win Big 12 championships all day long, but that didn't mean anything. And so he would get into the playoff picture and then they would lose because the Big 12 isn't as strong as the rest of college football, or at least the Big Five, those Power Five conferences. Yeah, I don't know. Bob Stoops he can't keep getting away with it. He can't.
It's tough. This is a tough one to be on the fence for, and yeah, it'll be a whole lot nicer and easier if our Brahmas were in there, but
a whole lot nicer.
Having Brian join us here in a little bit, he'll have his chance to sway us
right
towards the Renegades, and we'll see if he can successfully do that.
So as we get ready for the championship game, it's championship week, and oftentimes in championship week, they start announcing awards.
Yep.
For the league, we have today coming out the all XFL teams. This is the all-stars. This is who they voted. Somebody somewhere votes on this and puts together a team. Not a lot of things to argue with here. We took a look at it just before we started the show. You've got Jordan Te'amu as your quarterback, which the only other person that could maybe challenge him for the XFL, the best quarterback in the XFL, is Leo and Dirty's favorite guy in the world. It's always been Dirty's favorite. It's Leo's new favorite quarterback in the world, Ben DiNucci, who is now a Bronco, or at least going to Bronco rookie camp, mini camp.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he led the entire XFL in passing yards
And
interceptions. Yes, he did. And he was second in passing touchdowns.
Not just interceptions, turnovers as a whole, because he would fumble the ball some too.
Yeah, he had 13 interceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he also was up there as far as rushing yards. He was by far and beyond any of the Tamu, I think, was pretty close to him actually Now that I think about it, in rushing yards, so I could see the argument for Ta'amu.
Running back, to no one's surprise, Abram Smith. I will be shocked if
Yeah.
Abram Smith is not the MVP of the league.
Mm.
And if you know me at all, you know how I feel about running backs. I'm not very high on running backs, but I think Abram Smith made his team decidedly better in a lot of games. I don't
Yep.
think you can give it to Jordan Ta'amu. I don't think you can give it to AJ McCarron, because there were times that they got lifted out of their games and other guys got put in, and the teams were basically the same. If you take Abram Smith out of the lineup for DC, they are not a 9-1 team.
No.
Period. We got all kinds of people checking in. Heidi Ludwig Higgins says hi,
Hi,
RC.
Heidi.
And Adriana Vinton said hi to RC earlier.
Hi,
And,
Nana.
and
That's my
and
Shamrock sister.
you got a bunch of folks checking in
I
saying hi to
do.
you.
Nobody wants to say hi to
ladies.
us, Philip.
Sorry.
Why would they? Why
Right.
would
Well, they were really excited about having Stephanie Hoffman come on. You know, we went to
Yeah.
an all-girl
Yeah.
high school, right? We still meet every first Saturday of the month. We're all about girl power, female power. And you know, I met with them on Saturday, and I told them, I go, you guys got to check in. We had the first female. She's a welder, and so I am a little disappointed, to be honest. But hey, it is what it is, right? It happens. It's live podcast, so
Heidi did say hi, Philip. Hi, Leo. Thank you, Heidi.
Oh,
that's
thank you,
just trying to
Heidi.
be nice.
Hello.
Just trying to be
We
nice.
were left out. So no surprises on the offensive side of the ball. There are no Brahmas on the offensive side of the ball. If you're
But
surprised by that, you probably
I don't know
weren't
why.
paying
I
attention.
Didn't
have
watch
like
a lot of games.
right, exactly. I
You
can
didn't
sell you
watch
a
a
used
lot of the
car.
football.
There is only one Renegade on there. Quite a few DC defenders, but the Renegade is what, Alex Mollett, I believe. So
Nope, he's with the Roughnecks. Center is Alex Monette. But RC, you'll be excited to see that Jared Jones Smith is on the
Yay!
all XFL team. Former
Love him.
commander,
Former commander.
good friend of the show,
Yeah.
JJ, good guy.
Yeah.
Now, swinging
Well-
to the. Go ahead.
So there's
I was just going to
Right.
say, to qualify offense, we're not including special teamers, which is also has an offensive role.
Yeah, special teams is
Yeah,
something different.
that's
Special
different.
teams
Yeah.
is an extra
Mhm.
thing. On the defensive side of the ball, we got guys all over this thing.
yes, we do.
We should. Drew Beasley,
Mhm.
Delonte Scott, Jordan Williams, and there's one more. Oh, Luke Barku.
Luke Barku. Mm-hmm.
All NFL, all XFL
All
team
aw-
guys.
Awesome guys. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
What about Scott? Isn't there a Scott?
Delonte Scott.
Delonte Scott.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yep. He's on there. I think I mentioned him. Did I?
Did you?
I
don't
thought you
know.
did. Yeah, I thought he did.
I don't know.
And then when we swing around to the third aspect of the game, the special teams, John Parker Romo, the all XFL kicker,
Number one.
absolutely best kicker in the league. Don't
By
care
far.
what happened in that
By
final
far.
game.
Yeah, no.
No
It's-
question.
No
Absolutely.
question.
Now he's I gotta mention this. I know I brought it up to you guys, and I mentioned it at the Gunslingers watch party, and to my surprise, no one has thought of this. No one has thought of the fact that, and I think this is really cool. We're going to have Scott Daly, long snapper, former
Yes,
long snapper
okay.
of the San Antonio Commanders, a great guy. We had him on the show way back in the day. He is currently the long snapper in Detroit, and that is where John Parker Romo is headed to.
That is one of the invites he has. He has 2 invites.
Oh, he has 2. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, if he accepts the Detroit invitation and ends up going up there, I think it's awesome that we will have a former San Antonio Commanders long snapper snapping for a former San Antonio Brahmas kicker.
Other XFL awards that have already been handed out: head coach Reggie Barlow, who we've talked a lot about on this show because he just very nearly ended up in San Antonio. He is the coach of the year, obviously 9-1. Who else are you going to give it to?
Yeah.
Right.
Vegas Vipers linebacker Peta. Help me with the name. Do you know? T.
Peter Tamopenu.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
what I was. That's what I meant to say.
It was on the tip of your tongue, Philip. Tip of your
He's
tongue.
the defensive player of the year. The offensive player of the year is Jordan Teamu. And we don't have an MVP yet, but I would be shocked if it's not Abram Smith. Like, I would just be floored if it's not Abram Smith. However, now that I've seen the all XFL team and the offensive player of the year and the fact that those are both Jordan Teamu, I would also not be surprised, Leo, if that's your boy. If the Nooch ends up being the MVP.
Gucci Danucci.
Because
Dirty likes to call him.
Yeah. And they gave these other two awards to Teamu, but they say Danucci
The
goes
MVP.
above and beyond that.
Yeah.
He was the MVP. It
I
would
like
not
the
surprise
theory.
me.
Like the theory.
That could be.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think it's the right move, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
So all of that is done. Championship game is this Saturday.
Saturday.
And you guys are going to be out there. There's plenty of tailgating going to go on. I just saw a report today on social media that BNC will be open for tailgating. I don't know if anybody thought it wouldn't be, but it will be open for tailgating. All of that will be available. Man, get out there and show them how to do it right.
Woohoo!
Yeah. We'll have a lot of people from outside of San Antonio for that one for sure, so they can see what San Antonio tailgating is like.
Yeah, definitely our opportunity to show off San Antonio and the hospitality and everything that makes us famous across the XFL right now. It wasn't necessarily on the field this year. That's next year. We'll do that next year.
Right.
This year, it was on off the field with the tailgating and the hospitality. So let's do that again. We get one more opportunity to do all that. You guys are both going to the game, yeah?
Yeah, but even before the game, what's going on Saturday? You're asking, right?
The game is going on Saturday.
On Friday. On Friday. What's going on Friday at the Alamo Beer Company?
I hadn't gotten there yet, but go ahead.
The Super Podcast.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be live at the beer company. It's going to be the X-Fan show. It's going to be us. It's going to be the Orange Forward and even some special guests, I think, from other podcasts. So I think we're starting at 6 on Friday at the Alamo Beer Company. And I know that we're going to be doing a podcast first. And then afterwards, I think there's going to be like a little pre-championship game.
Yeah,
I mean,
very cool.
Party.
Pre-championship game party. Yes.
There you go.
I wish I could be there to participate in that, but unfortunately, I will not be able to attend. I have my oldest daughter who is graduating.
Congratulations.
This weekend. Yeah, she is done. She will be a doctor of physical therapy, which is awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yep. So we have prior engagements and celebrations for that. So as for your question, Philip, we do have tickets. We are planning to attend the game. What time we're going to get there, I don't know. We would typically be, speaking for myself and Loli's, part of the tailgate crew and big into it. And that was what we were kind of hoping for. But with things that have come up as far as the graduation and the celebration with that, it's going to be tough, but we're going to try. I just don't know what time we're going to get there. We will be there early for the tailgate, but I just don't know what time. But we'll be there.
Awesome.
And I may or may not be there. I am doing a wedding on Saturday before the game. And of course, you know, anybody that listens knows that I live about 3 hours away from San Antonio. The wedding may wrap up in time for me to get there. I did, like, as we were getting ready to go on the show today, I got an email that said, hey, you've got credentials. So I could actually go watch it in the press box, you know, my spot, and be there. I just got to see if this wedding will allow me to get out there. And because of the wedding on Saturday, Friday night is our rehearsal, and you need the pastor there to do the rehearsal for the wedding.
Mm.
It turns out, so I won't be
Hmm.
able to be there for the super podcast. I will have an earbud in as we're doing the rehearsal dinner or something, and be listening to you guys, and maybe even commenting a little bit.
We
But
will be well represented by RC for the
RC will be
Smoking
there.
Gun podcast.
Yes, I will be there in
X
person.
Fan Nation, Arlington, and Dirty, and Amanda, as far as I
Amanda,
know, will be there. Horns Forward, our friends over there at Horns Forward, DJ and Jason, or
Jorge,
Jay,
and
Jorge,
Jackie.
and Jackie will be there,
Hmm.
and more. Like, it's one
Mhm.
of those things, and more.
Yeah.
Right.
Will be there, and they'll be talking about all of the fun that this season has been, all of the great stuff that that's what's been great about this experience, is that we built this community again.
Hmm.
We did this 4 years ago. We've done it again, where we've connected with people we did not know in cities that we don't go to, and we've become friends with these people in St. Louis and in other parts of the country. That's really cool. It's just a really cool aspect of all of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, RC.
I was just gonna say, we will be tailgating, and we are going to be having 75 yellow carnations, and we're going to be passing them out to the moms there tailgating. We'll be in lot B between row 1 and 2 as usual. We will not be collecting food items, so nobody bring peanut butter because I'm not going to collect it. I'm gonna focus really on tailgating and hanging out with the fans there coming in from Arlington and DC. Everyone is welcome. I'll have a tent out there with the Brahma Mama sign. I'm gonna have Heidi and Annette and some other people hanging out with us. So come on by. I know the XFL did reach out to us, the Brahma Mamas, and said that they wanted to know exactly where we were going to be tailgating. That maybe some special people were going to come on by. So I'm excited about that. So
Ooh, very
Mm,
cool.
mhm.
special
Nice.
people.
Special people.
That is not vague at all.
Not at all. Not at all. So I should be
So,
getting there between 2 and 3.
excellent.
Very
Excellent.
cool.
It'll be a good time. It's going to be football in San Antonio. I know that we're bummed that San Antonio's not in it. And I think we're all even a little more bummed that Arlington is, not because it's Arlington. Although there are some people that are like ticked off it's Arlington, period. Jorge, I'm looking at you. But the fact that Arlington is in it means that we were this close
Yes.
to being in it, because we are at least as good as Arlington. At least
Mhm.
as good as Arlington.
Well, if it wasn't us, it was going to have to be Arlington. It certainly wasn't going to be Orlando.
No,
So we
sure.
just gotta live with that and move forward.
By all rights, it should have been Houston, but Wade Phillips is the coach there, so that
Yeah.
didn't work out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That didn't work out.
That didn't
No.
work out at all.
We kind of called
Mhm.
that at the beginning of the season,
Yeah,
didn't
we
we?
We
did.
did. We really did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it'll be a good time. It'll be a great game. Um, I just wish we were celebrating the Brahmas. But you know what? You don't win every season. It wouldn't be
True.
any fun to win every season, would it? Maybe it would.
Maybe.
Never mind. I think it would have.
Well, you're a Cowboy fan. You wouldn't know, right?
Well, people had
Good
their,
point. Good
people
point.
had their hopes up. We like winners in San Antonio, but I think the takeaway is the progress, what we saw at the end of the season compared to the struggles at the beginning of the season. We were definitely at a point where no one in the XFL wanted to play the San Antonio Brahmas at
No,
the end.
it
Mhm.
is so
Nobody.
similar to Gunslingers football last year, where it was our first year, new league,
Mm-hmm.
new situation, very much like the XFL and the Brahmas this year. And by the end of it, they finally had kind of figured things out. And even though they fell that short of being in the playoffs, nobody um, around the league wanted to see that team on their schedule. Nobody wanted to see that on their playoff
Right.
schedule. And that's exactly how Gunslingers season was last year. So that I hold out some real hope because
Yeah.
Gunslingers are tearing it up this year.
Oh my God.
So if that follows suit, the Brahmas are going to be 4-0 next year going into game 5. Yes.
Yeah. I'll sacrifice the first season as a learning process to take the next 2 or 3 in a row. Sure. Fair trade.
Absolutely. Not just one, but if we get a couple out of it, we can do that.
Yeah.
Brahma Babe checking in. Whoop whoop.
Hey,
You gonna
Brahma
be out
Babe.
there? You gonna be out
Congratulations
there,
on your
Brahma Babe?
graduation.
Oh yeah, she got her master's degree. Yeah.
Masters.
Yeah. Very cool.
Incredible.
Congrats.
But if you look at a whole at the XFL, right? What's the purpose of it? I think 100% achieved its purpose. A lot of those players, even from the Brahmas, were called up to the camp. I mean, that is exactly what we want.
Yeah.
So
So there was last week, right at the end of the week, we started seeing a lot of these guys all through the week. We saw these guys getting invitations.
mhm.
And somebody posted about halfway through the week a list of 10 guys who had already gotten invitations to rookie mini camps or mini camps with
Mhm.
NFL teams. And some Yahoo jumped on there and goes, "You guys are all excited about 10 players in the whole league getting
Yeah.
opportunities on the next level?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because
Yeah.
those 10 guys would have never seen
Yeah.
any other
NFL.
opportunity.
Mhm.
Their pro career was over.
Mhm.
I-
Mhm.
If football stays the way it is, where there's not the XFL and USFL options, if that's not there for them, those guys don't get signed, don't get drafted, don't get signed to undrafted free agency contracts, or they do and they get cut in the
Mhm.
preseason, and that's it. Over, done.
Right.
That's the end of their football career. These guys have an opportunity to go out, get some more tape, and some of them can catch on. We've talked about this a lot back in the Commanders days, but sometimes it is just right place, right time. I go back to the story of um, uh, Sam Mills. Sam Mills was a linebacker in the 80s that played with a motor that did not quit. He was just an extremely, extremely high motor guy, but he was short. He was small.
Mm.
He played for the Cleveland Browns in preseason, and the Cleveland Browns cut him. But when they cut him, the coach of the Cleveland Browns called Jim Mora, who was going to be the coach of the Philadelphia Stars in the USFL that year, and says, "Look, you need to pick this guy up. He's an incredible player. I just can't have him on my team. We're going to cut him." Sam Mills went and played. He was a superstar in the USFL.
Mhm.
He followed Jim Mora to the not New England Patriots, I'm sorry, to the New Orleans Saints. He was a high motor guy there. He went on to play in Carolina. To this day, there's a statue of Sam Mills standing outside of the Carolina Panthers Stadium, number 55. He coached for them. Unfortunately, he died very young of cancer, but he coached for the Panthers. There's a statue of him outside the stadium. And this year, he was voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. All of that happens because there's a spring football option
Exactly.
in the USFL for Sam Mills to fall into and show people what kind of motor he has. And that's what these guys can do now. That's the opportunity that these guys have. So yeah, I'm really excited about 10 guys. If it's only 10 guys in the whole league, I'm really excited about that. It's
Yeah.
not just going to be 10 guys.
No, it's going to be way more.
Right.
And I mean, that person, whatever, haters gonna hate, right? Like that's just, you're gonna have people like that. But it's only year one. And
Right.
right now, right off the bat, or at that time, it was 10, and we know it's going to be more. In year two, it's going to snowball. As long as the league can remain successful, can continue to improve, which there's no reason why it shouldn't, as long as it can be financially stable,
Sure.
the infrastructure is in place for the league to get better. And that means league play getting better. And that means players getting better and having more opportunities to put film out. I mean, I can already think of one situation where this iteration of the XFL it's being used. It's another resource for the NFL. So as soon as the draft completed, the NFL draft, you had teams reaching out for undrafted free agents. Happens every year. They sign guys, and NFL teams change their draft strategies based on what the projections that they have of certain players out there that they know they can go and get and kind of steal underneath the radar because they have projections on guys that aren't going to get drafted, and they'll have their eyes on some of these guys. And every year you hear about undrafted free agents making an impact.
Sure.
Every single year it happens in the
Absolutely.
NFL. Now, add to that the XFL, where they can not just take rookie players looking at college film, but also now take XFL players looking at XFL film and that body of work and change their draft strategy based on that, where when a team has multiple needs but only has a certain amount of picks. I'm kind of giving you a clue on the one situation I know about that happened this year, where maybe they needed a running back because of injury situations, but had very few draft picks because of a big trade maybe a year or two ago. And then you go and you don't draft a running back according to all these projection people. Oh, they got to definitely draft a running back, but no, they draft other needs, and then undrafted
What
free
team do we
agency.
know that gave away all of their draft picks for a pointless quarterback last
see.
year?
Uh,
Who was that?
I don't know about pointless, but we'll see.
Well,
But
we'll
then you go
see.
and
So far,
your running backs in need, and then look, Jacquez Patrick
Yep.
is right there for the taking. Let's send him an invitation
right.
and get him into rookie camp because he looked darn good those last couple of games.
Right.
When he got an opportunity to carry the rock and represent San Antonio. So I mean, it's the proof is right there in front of us. And people say, "Oh, it's only 10 players out of this entire league." It's one year, one season, and the NFL is already using that as a resource. 10 players or one
and that
player
was
or 20 players.
and that was really early in look. I've said it since the AAF days when we started our show with the San Antonio Commanders. The NFL, the final product, if that's what you want to call it, is better with spring football.
Yes.
You are going to catch some of those stories that would have disappeared into an oblivion, like Sam Mills with spring football as an option. One of the guys that has been around spring football and around football all of his life is joining us now. He's a former commander, which is where we got to know him. But now he is going to play for a championship this week in the Alamo Dome. Brian Folkerts. Am I saying it right?
Awesome.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
How we doing,
He
y'all?
is joining us right now. Arlington Renegades offensive lineman Brian Folkerts. Brian, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Appreciate y'all having me on.
You bet.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Just like you had it drawn up, right? When you went to play for the Commanders 4 years ago, you were like, I want to play for a championship right in this building.
Right.
And
Yeah.
4 years
There you
later,
go.
you made your plan work, right?
No, it's ending where it all began for me, man. I'm super pumped that it's in San Antonio. Man, honestly, I didn't really realize how big of a football town it was until I went and played for the Commanders there. And y'all have that house rocking over there. I'm not gonna lie. I think whenever we played you guys when I was on the Renegades this year, it was like a Sunday night at 8:00. So thank God. Otherwise, we would have been silent cadence the whole game. But man, it really is cool to for it all to end right where it started in the spring leagues 4 years ago with the AAF and the Commanders. So pretty cool.
Awesome.
Now, Brian, you got an opportunity. You played in high school. You played at Washburn University, not a school that you see a lot of guys
No.
have professional football careers coming out of Washburn.
Yeah.
How big of a deal is it for you? You've been playing for, if I do my math right, you've been playing since 2012. You've been playing 11 seasons at one place or another. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I took a little bit of time off during COVID and got into coaching for about 2 seasons. Missed the game, but yeah, like you said, I was from Washburn. At the time, I think I was the 4th player to ever make it to the NFL out of that school. So we're a small Division II school in the middle of
Right.
Kansas. There wasn't a lot to do.
Topeka, right?
Yeah, Topeka, Kansas. We're about an
Yeah.
hour west of Kansas City. So there wasn't a lot going on besides, playing and living football. And I always kind of joke with people. They'd ask me, "What's your major?" And I always told them football because, I just
Love it.
so I loved it. Man, I got a business degree too, but everyone knew what I was there to do. And yeah, it really worked out great, man. Played a couple years, played part of 6 seasons in the NFL, part of a year in Arena Football League, then the
All
AAF.
that with the
and then-
Sabercats, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. After my rookie year with the Saints, I ended up getting cut at the end of training camp. Did a week with the Buccaneers on practice squad, and then nothing the rest of that year. So I went and played in the AFL, and they put me at a fullback out there. And, I was just kind of goofing around, running the ball every once in a while, and really just having fun playing football. And then it just led to a rookie mini camp invite to the Carolina Panthers, and ended up making the active 53-man roster out of there. And you kind of take it for what it is, but those spring leagues, they really do a good job of getting guys ready to go into NFL camps. Like a lot of guys in this league, in the XFL, you're seeing getting rookie mini camp invites or private workouts. Like, we are in season shape right now, going in to compete against guys that have taken the last 3 months off. So it's huge for us. I mean, I think the guys that do get a shot are going to do well. You look at some of the guys from the past leagues, some of our commanders, even like Devontae Bosby, Jared Jones-Smith, former commanders that, you give those guys a shot and they're going to stick around for 3 or 4 years. Like Taylor Heineke with the Battlehawks, who was where I was playing last XFL. Man, he's had a hell of a career with the Commanders. But yeah, a lot of those guys. I mean, I think a lot of them are going to surprise you.
Luis Perez.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll get Luis in there hopefully. But the talent, I feel like a lot of people naturally assume the talent drop off is significant. But I tell you, man, after playing a long time in the NFL, like the best players in this league are as good as some of the best players. Maybe not the Hall of Famer guys, and maybe not the first rounders, but any of those 3rd, 4th rounders, the same exact level of talent. And a lot of guys just need another opportunity because it's always about being in the right place at the right time.
Well, and it's been incredibly competitive football, which is great. There's parity in the league. Each team is lined up like the lowest team. Orlando is not all that far off from DC. We saw that because Orlando beat DC in the regular season. So you've played in arena football and you've played in the NFL. You've played in all 3 different spring football iterations. You played in the AAF with the Commanders. Then you played with the Battlehawks in 2020. Now you're with the Renegades. What about this experience sets it apart from those other spring football experiences that you had?
This one, just being able to finish. This is the first spring league that I've been a part of that finished.
Sure.
The USFL did it last summer. They were the first spring league to finish since 2000 or 2001 with the original XFL. Whether it be financial issues with the AAF or COVID with XFL 2.0. Man, just getting to see this thing through has been really cool. And for us to be in it at the end has been awesome for me. I'm 33 years old now. My days are numbered, as they say. And, if we get this championship, it'd be easy to sail off into the sunset,
So you worked with the Battlehawks in 2020 and you worked with the Renegades this year. I got to imagine that your offensive coordinator now, who was your head coach in St. Louis, that's got to feel good when you get picked up by the team that he has migrated over to. It tells you something about what you've done previously that they want to bring you along with them to the spot.
Yeah, for sure, man. They trusted me to run the show at center with the Battlehawks last go, and we had a heck of a team. And honestly, going into this draft, they were the staff I knew. I didn't really know any of the other coaches personally. It was kind of one of those deals where it's like this was the only team I wanted to play for. just because I knew the staff. I grew up in St. Louis, but Renegades are my first choice just because, like I said, familiarity with the OC. My O-line coach here with the Renegades was our O-line coach on the Commanders, Jonathan Heimbach.
Nice.
Our assistant D-line coach is Michael George, and he was with us with the Commanders as well. So it's kind of been like a conglomerate of like a lot of past teams I've played for. They all kind of came together with the Renegades, and it was just a good situation for me to be in, where you kind of already come in with some trust, and you don't have to go out and necessarily like prove it all the time, but you still got to show up and do your job. But they know what you're capable of, and when you're going into like a training camp situation and you got to start eyeing around the room, all right, they're going to cut half of us. Who's going to make it? Like, you feel pretty good going into a situation like that when you know
the last week and a half, as you guys have looked toward this championship game and it's gotten set, how much have you guys leaned into the fact that, hey, we just played these guys to overtime the last time we saw them? They may be the best team in the league record-wise, but they're not very far off from us. We got real close last time and learned something. This is anybody's game on Saturday.
Honestly,
kind of where you guys are at?
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, we felt like we should have won that game in DC. We felt like we let one go there. We had them on the ropes. I think we had like 17 or 20 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. And if we could have just had a little bit more time, like, they couldn't stop us at all. And if we would have had a little bit more time on the clock, we would have punched that last drive in the end zone instead of kicking a field goal to tie it as time ran out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we took them to overtime. I feel like teams have been, besides Seattle last week, it wasn't really close. I feel like teams have been kind of creeping in on these guys lately. You look at the Orlando loss, you look at San Antonio playing them super close in the finale, which almost hurt us, by the way. But I feel like I feel like they're as beatable as ever right now. So
if John Parker Romo's kick sells through, you don't have to tell us. If John Parker Romo's kick sells through.
Now, I will say that we did hold our cards in the last Houston finale.
Sure.
You all probably watched that game and said, "Oh, shoot, if that kick goes in, we're in." We did hold some stuff back and kind of kept everything real vanilla. We didn't want to show our hand for the playoff game that we had to, really jump on those Houston boys. But yeah, I feel like our offense has been trending up ever since we've added Luis Perez.
Yes.
And in that DC game, I think it was his second week with us. Now he'll be going into his fifth game. So man, we're really feeling good about it. We're a different team since the second half of that year of this season.
RC, what you got?
Yeah, so can you tell me a little bit about the pros and the cons of having all the teams in Arlington? Because that's new, right? For you?
Yeah. So for me, this is my first time with they call it like the hub. All the teams here in Arlington and the Dallas and Fort Worth areas. It's just kind of different. For us, is more normal, but for everybody else, their home games are also away games. And that's different how it was set up in the AAF in the last XFL go around. Everyone was home, and only the away team travels, just like what everyone's used to.
Right.
But here, with everyone being in Arlington and us still going to their home cities to play, it's we've had two teams on the same airplane, which is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Home team gets first class, visiting team's back. So all our and on the back of the plane, or if we play in Texas, they'll give us charter buses and stuff. But yeah, it's been different, man. Seeing the opposition in the hotels, like we're sharing hotels, we're sharing practice facilities, we're sharing transportation. It's just kind of weird. We play the Houston Roughnecks 3 times this year, and
right.
We got guys getting fired up because they're talking about they were talking trash at dinner last night. I rented a little townhouse here in Dallas to have my family come stay with me. But just hearing like how much chirping's going on away from the facilities has been kind of weird. And
which team were you guys paired up with for practice?
Houston.
And so they were just on the other side of the 50-yard line running their practice, and you guys are over here running your practice?
We didn't practice at the same time.
Oh, okay.
We'd go morning practice, they'd go afternoon.
Gotcha.
But through like most of the year, like our practice would be ending and their guys would be like starting to walk out onto the field to stretch and get warmed up.
Sure.
The weeks that we would play each other, one team would have to go practice at like some local high school or indoor facility, just so that people were obviously watching the same practices and stuff.
Right.
So they did have to accommodate that kind of thing throughout the year, which is awkward. We're playing these guys and we see them walking by us in the hallway and through the tunnels to get to our locker room, and makes for a good rivalry come game day when everyone's finally had enough talking.
The Brahma Babe checking in on Facebook says, as a former XFL player, what changes have you seen in the XFL 3.0? And do you feel like the changes are positive and will contribute to some longevity? Longevity. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the ownership better this time. I think Danny Garcia and The Rock have been putting some good social media out there for us, and seeing Danny at a lot of the games has been cool. I can't remember who owned it last time, but it was like, we had the Commissioner Luck.
Right.
He'd be around every once in a while, but I feel like these guys are really invested.
I think it was Vince McMahon that owned it last time. He's a real forgettable guy. I can see
Yeah.
you don't remember who that guy is.
That's pretty bad of me, huh? But
he was on the ropes.
He was on the ropes.
I never saw him once.
Right. No, I don't think he was around the product much.
No.
He let Oliver Luck kind of do the day-to-day operations, which became a big argument as it fell apart. They ended up having to go to court with each other over all that. So
yeah, they had to end up doing a whole bunch of lawsuits and settlements. I think all our former players, we got a check last summer for like $3,000 for the part of the contract that we weren't able to fill out or something.
Sure.
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah, for sure. So, Brian, considering those improvements that you've mentioned, and I know there has been speculation amongst the fan base and people wondering about the longevity of the XFL and the expectation of a season past this one, and we've already been assured that there's a season 2 coming, and then there's even talk of season 3, and this is definitely something that the people who are running things plan to have going on for a while now. But from a player perspective, and believe it or not, this is debated out there. I've seen on multiple shows, on a couple of other podcasts, where people are talking about, obviously the ultimate goal of this league is to get guys more film, to get exposure for those the 54, to get seen and get called up for an opportunity in the NFL ultimately. And that's going to happen for a number of guys, but obviously it's not going to happen for everyone. Are there players that are in the current XFL that are already looking at this and kind of like feeling like they found a home? Or is the ultimate goal as the XFL, this is a stepping stone to something bigger and better?
I would say for 95% of the players, they view it as the XFL is a stepping stone to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Most of the guys are younger. They want to, they just view it as most of the guys have had experience in the NFL and they want to get back. Obviously, the contracts are drastically different. Now, I will say, interestingly enough, is there's guys in this league, I don't know if y'all know, that are on standard contracts. There's quarterbacks that make $200,000 to $300,000 in our league.
Sure.
And players like AJ McCarron, and I'm sure his is even higher. But I think there's guys like that. I could see those type of guys settling in. And can I be a dominant XFL player and make $250,000 or $300,000 and in a 10-week season and call that my 9 to 5 for the year, and work for 3 or 4 months and make that kind of money,
Right.
I would, most of us most of our base contracts are 50,000, 5,000 a week, and then play for your win bonus. And then obviously playoff and all that. Those kind of guys, you know, with the toll it takes on your body, like I feel like you gotta have to decide like how long do you want to chase that for that pay. And you know, they talk about pay raises and stuff, but I think mostly it's viewed as a stepping stone. But I could see the bigger contract players that want to make what we call really good money, you know, for everyone not in the NFL. You know, you could really settle in and do that for 3 to 5 years and, you know, make a good chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are asking.
Sorry. I was going to say, I know we had talked earlier, you and I, about tailgating, and your family's coming to San Antonio, and who's going to be tailgating? Because I'd like to invite them to Lot B, row 1 and 2, and see if we can get an interview with either your mom if she's coming or your wife. So tell us who's coming to tailgate.
Yeah, I got my wife and my 2 daughters coming. My wife's name's Lindsay. My mom and my dad will be there. My in-laws will be there. I got some cousins coming. I'm gonna have probably like 15 people at the game. So I'll send a big crew over your way and
Yeah,
tell them to look
Lot
out.
B, row 1 and 2, and we'll definitely host them and make them feel like home.
You're a girl dad. How old are your girls?
4 and 2, and we actually
man.
have we have one on the way.
Oh,
Oh,
congratulations.
Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah, appreciate it. She's due around 4th of July. It'll be another girl, so I'm a girl dad through and through.
Well, you got 4 and 2-year-olds. So let me just tell you, I've got at one time I had an 18 and 16-year-old at the same time, and you're on that same track.
Yeah.
I will be praying for you, brother.
I know, yeah.
I'll be praying for you.
I'm gonna need some help in a couple of years for sure. I'm gonna have a couple teenagers running around and be fighting for my life out there.
So we're asking everybody that's listening here in a few minutes to pick the championship game. Who do you have? Do you have DC or Arlington? Like which?
Hello. No brainer there.
I've got Arlington in a close one.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
good.
Okay,
Good to know.
I'm gonna go Arlington by 3 points.
Okay.
Well,
Well, just
that's
so
great.
you know, the rest of the podcast, I'm not going to speak for them, but I was going for you the whole time.
Hey, I appreciate it. I mean, if y'all watch the last game, just watch how it ended. See where you think we left off.
Sure.
Gotta love a Cinderella story. The come from behind.
Right.
Yeah, and St. Louis is hating us, and a lot of the league is not respecting the 5 and 6 championship team. Maybe win the whole league at 6 and 6.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully the refs give us a fair shot. You know, I don't know if they want to see 6 and 6 be their champion, but hopefully they give us that fair shot and keep a clean call game. And you know, I don't want to. Nobody wants to see DC win it all. I mean, they're just.
Nobody.
I mean, that's like rooting for the Yankees or the Lakers.
You're getting yourself in hot water there, buddy.
Uh-oh.
You know what? We don't have any Yankees fans or Lakers fans here.
But somebody out there might. You never know.
Well, they don't.
1 or 2.
They're not worried about some little podcast. Then they're.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows you got the bandwagon fans everywhere, and
for sure.
So I mean, they're good. I mean, they've earned their record, no doubt about it. You know, Coach was talking today, like we don't have to do anything more than what we're capable of. Like we just go out and play our game to the best that we can play. Like we're for sure going to win this game. You know, if we go out like just clean football, no turnovers, no stupid penalties, we feel really good about the game.
Now you've already mentioned being 33 years old. You're coming down toward the last few years, or maybe last year. How long will you take to make the evaluation about whether you want to come back and do this again for another year? Win or lose.
Yeah, win or lose. Yeah, I'm gonna probably need a month to recover from the year. I think all the little nicks and stuff are adding up. But I think about the time that fall gets here, and they're gonna start asking, hey, who wants to come back? I should have an answer by then for sure. Winning definitely makes it easier. Everyone wants to go out a champion.
Right.
I've never won a Super Bowl or any kind of college titles or anything like that. So it'd be a cool one to come out on.
Washburn Ichabods weren't winning championships out there.
Hey, we weren't winning D2 championships. We weren't even winning our conference. We were just kind of one of those perennial like 8-3 teams that was a good team, but never quite enough. And then I played for the Panthers. I missed out on a Super Bowl run. I had a sprained ankle, so they cut me.
No.
It just kind of shows you how cutthroat. I mean, the NFL is so cutthroat. I was going into my third year on active roster with them, and had a sprained ankle in the preseason, so they just let me go. So it was then I had to watch them go, 16-0, and then eventually make a Super Bowl appearance in 2015. It was tough, but yeah, it's a tough business, man. And football, I always kind of joke, and I always say it's a hell of a drug, man. Like running out into that field with 60,000 fans waving towels, or running through the Alamo Dome with 30 or 40,000 fans. I mean, that's as loud as it gets. And playing in those type of environments, man, it's super addicting, and you fall in love with it. And it just kind of sticks with you, and you keep chasing it. It's like, hey, man, would you go back and play and, play in front of all those loud fans and, everyone's cheering for you? Like, yeah, I could go do that again. So, but, I love it. I'll chase it as long as I can. And, I think eventually I gotta decide if I'm cool with, do I come back and risk injury? I got little kids. I'm going to have 3 kids at the end of this summer.
Sure.
You could risk, you watch, that guy from the Bills this year, his heart stopped on the field. And,
Right.
and it's super rare that you see guys that break their neck. And, one guy, tight end from the Bears a couple years ago, like had a gruesome knee injury that almost killed him. It's like, there's definitely those things that are out there. So I'll just have to kind of evaluate it in the off season and see where I'm at come next XFL draft.
Nice. Well, I was just going to ask you, and it may be a no-brainer, if the XFL asked you next year, player or coach, which one would you pick? Did you kind of maybe already answered it?
Ooh, if I could transition into XFL coach, I for sure would. If anyone needs an O-line coach,
If anyone's listening,
yeah,
Washburn University, I got your O-line coach right here.
Yeah, Coach Stoops. If Heimbach leaves and y'all need a new coach,
right?
Now I'm a big center brain, so I'm always kind of reading defenses, and I kind of help organize our protections alongside the coaches, anyways, and kind of help the guys along. And I do coach O-line in the fall. I'll be at Wingate University. It's a Division II school in North Carolina.
oh, nice.
Yeah, so I will be coaching in the fall, and a lot of those guys have been rooting for me out here and kind of checking in with me and stuff, or giving me shit if I give up a play or something. So it's been a good deal.
Awesome.
So, Brian, I want to ask you a question. We haven't had an opportunity to ask anybody that was here during the AAF and experienced San Antonio Commanders football during the. You see that the sign up here? You might recognize that. That was actually from the locker room. Don't ask me how I was able to get that, but I was able to get it. But you're the first person that we've had this opportunity to have on the show and kind of talk about what it felt like, at least from a fan, you being there and witnessing it as a player. I'm sure you have an idea of what it felt like as a fan to have that ripped away. To have that ripped away from the player's perspective as well as an opportunity. You guys were building something special. We all believed with that team, and now see the XFL. Now, while you weren't playing for the San Antonio franchise of the XFL 3.0, but you're a part of it. The Arlington hub. You're around those guys. You're around the league. But having been here for that experience in San Antonio, I can say that our fan base, while we have a very great fan base here in San Antonio that has supported the Brahmas, we have not yet reached that level that we were at with the San Antonio Commanders. And I honestly, I can say, in talking to people, there's still that sting and there's still that fear of, experiencing that loss again. So people have kind of stepped back, a fear of commitment, because they did the first time around. They loved what we had, and then it was very abruptly taken away. Now, you having been a part of that and knowing what it was like here in San Antonio, and now seeing the XFL, what would you say to the San Antonio fan base, to those that are still feeling that sting and maybe feeling that apprehensiveness about the San Antonio Brahmas and the XFL?
I would just say to the fans to, man, just really buy in, just how you did the last time. I mean, what you guys were able to give us as the Commanders was just really unbelievable. The effect that you guys had on every team we played there was massive. Definitely helped us to win games for sure. Just causing pure chaos for the other team, but the football fans there are really special, and you guys deserve to have a pro team. I think the XFL will stick around, but man, y'all could even support an NFL team with your guys' crowd and your energy. Yeah, man, just keep doing you guys. Really, I think what it's going to take is going to take a winning team. I mean, I think if the Brahmas were maybe more successful, I think the crowds would have got bigger and bigger. Just how they did with the Commanders. They had to keep opening up sections as the season went on, just like you see with the Battlehawks. I mean, they were opening up upper deck seats, and that's what we were starting to do with the Commanders. So, I think it's a little bit of both. Brahmas fans buy in, and then Brahmas, y'all need to show up and win the games. I think if y'all can both do that, I mean, the product will speak for itself. I mean, you guys are unreal down there. It's definitely one of those places you got to – part of our game plan is the crowd noise, So we got fortunate and played you guys on a late Sunday night, but everyone else that plays you guys is going to get you on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon. They're going to have something to deal with down there. So,
Well,
kudos
I
to
don't
you guys.
know. I don't know if Bob Stoops needs an offensive line coach, but I know that given the way San Antonio performed this year on the offensive line, we could certainly use some help. So, Coach Ward,
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, Coach, you need
Here's
some
your
young
guy.
There you
blood?
go.
here's
There
your
you
guy. Come
go.
grab this guy and let's make him part of San Antonio again. Put
There
him
you go.
put him there.
Dude, I'd be down.
It really honestly could not get any worse than this year.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, y'all had a good ground game for sure. With you had the twin duo of backs that were just tearing it up. And,
oh yeah.
yeah, y'all had a solid group. It sounds
Well,
like they go too hot. Dealing through 3 or 4 different quarterbacks. Y'all
Sure.
got to keep those guys a little cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, RC loves to run through some rapid fire, not really football related questions, just
Not
to
at
get to
all.
know people right as we let them go. So RC, what do you got for Brian here?
Okay, so I know you have 2 girls. So what's your favorite Disney movie that you've probably seen 100 times?
our favorite Disney movie is Beauty and the Beast. I probably could quote most of the lyrics at this point.
Live action or animation?
The animated version, the old school.
Good
There
call.
you go.
Yeah.
Okay, how about your favorite superhero?
Ooh, favorite superhero. I would have to say, I don't want to say Superman. That's way too cheesy.
Too easy, right?
Yeah, I would say Green Lantern is probably my favorite superhero. He has to kind of use his mind and come up with all the stuff that he puts out there. I like him.
Okay, favorite ice cream flavor?
Ooh, mint chocolate chip.
That's mine too.
Nice.
I like it. How about favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni, no doubt, no question there.
Best advice
This
your mom gave you?
Ooh, best advice my mom gave me. Oh man, that's tough on the spot. She always was down on the ground playing with the kids, and I'm the same way. So I guess the best advice I learned from her was just to stay young at heart.
Awesome. Prediction for the game? You already gave it right.
Yeah, I'll say
Arlington by 3 points.
Yeah, let's go 31-28 Arlington.
Okay,
Nice.
great. Nice.
Good game.
Well, Robert, not Robert, I'm sorry, Brian, we really appreciate having you on. You're making fans already because Robert says, I want to dislike Arlington more, but this guy's making it hard. He's too nice.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all, we got a lot of the old commanders. I mean, me and Bosby are
Sure.
still going. We had Farrow,
Yeah.
Kenneth
Mhm.
Farrow running with us this year, and he actually got hurt. Yeah, we had Nick Temple, and
Mhm.
we had a couple. We had about 5 of them with us this year, and including coaches, we were about 7. So I mean, we're kind of like the old school commanders. We're still rolling around. So if y'all are looking for a team to pick and you're on the fence, just come on home.
I'm not on the fence. I'm not on the fence. You know
Yeah.
who I'm going for.
This guy.
This guy up there on top.
I've grown up in Texas all my life. It's hard for me to cheer for a Bob Stoops led team.
Yeah, I
Just
can see
really,
that.
really hard.
No, I got
Really hard. Brian, we've really appreciated having you on. I may not be cheering for Arlington on Saturday night, but I will certainly be keeping an eye on you and cheering for you. And if it works out where you're playing again next year, you'll have eyes on you, and we will certainly be talking about you on the show. And hey, I'm not kidding. If you want to coach offensive line, there's no better place to start than San Antonio. We got a bar set real low with the Brahmas right now.
Yeah, well, it's the only
So
place to go is
you can come in and approve it right away. Brian, we really appreciate you. Thanks so much for taking some time and coming on. Good luck on Saturday. Give them hell. Win or lose, leave it all out there. I know you guys will do everything you can.
No doubt. Yeah, we won't leave any guns or any bullets in the gun. We'll shoot our shot for sure.
There you go.
Thank you, Brian.
See
Good
your
luck this
family
weekend.
tailgating.
He's
All
Brian
right, yeah.
Folkerts.
I'll send
He
them your way.
plays for-
Okay.
He plays for the Arlington Renegades. They will be playing for a championship, and he was so nice to come on. Brian, thank you so much for spending time with us. We really,
Love Brian.
really appreciate it. All right, so
Cool dude.
he's still there, so I'm not like waiting until he's gone. Like he's still listening. I'm still gonna pick DC, but he made it really hard. I'm with Robert. Like he made it really hard.
We said he might bring some stuff up to kind of persuade us towards Arlington, and he certainly did that.
He's a
Because
great
of
guy.
Brian.
Love
If
him.
Arlington wins, I won't get upset because I know Brian will get a chance to be a part of a championship team, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So if Arlington ends up holding the trophy, that's fine with me. Even though Bob Stoops is going to get to do it, I know Brian gets to do it too. So that I can live with that. I can handle that. Leo, what do you think?
I think he persuaded me. He pointed out the Commanders' connections.
Lots of them.
Yeah,
for Arlington.
there's a lot more than I realized, and I can't not root for those guys, and just the connections there back with the AAF and our AAF days, DC, and it's hard to not root for the underdog, the Cinderella story.
Right,
I mean,
that's true.
having a team go in at 5-6 to the championship game and then win it all and just prove everybody wrong. There's something
in a
to that
way,
too.
In a way, what fun is it to have the 9-1 team that barely lost one game win the championship? Like that's boring.
Boring.
Yeah.
You guys are.
Speaking of Disney movies, go watch Little Giants. You see,
Right?
Yeah,
Right.
You don't want the big bad, what were they, Cowboys winning the championship? And
Hey, that was the
everybody
Cowboys.
expects. You want the
I
Little
always
Giants.
thought that movie was wrong. The Cowboys should have won. That's the way it works, right? We really do appreciate having Brian on and spending some time with us. He certainly is the kind of guy that you can get behind and get excited about. I wasn't kidding. I'd love to see him be a coach.
That-
up on this
Amazing. I
level.
would love him to be in San Antonio with him and his family.
Come on back to San Antonio.
We love him.
Play center here, or be our O-line coach. I have a feeling they're going to be looking for one. Just feeling like they will be. Brad says he's good either way. He'll hit up Hines Ward. Do it,
There
man.
you go. Do it.
Give
No
him a
harm in
call.
that. That
We
you
will
belong
vouch for
here.
you. Tell him you talk to the Smoking
will.
Guns. They will vouch
Yeah,
for me.
for
We
sure.
will.
He
He's a
knows
friend
us.
of the
Yeah,
show. He's
he
been
is.
here. Appreciate you, Brian, so much. So that is the XFL. The XFL is wrapping up. We will talk some next week about it, but next week, just for those of you that tune in with us every week and you're like, man, when are they going to start talking about the Gunslingers first? We're going to do that next week. Like next week, we've got a championship game. We are going to talk about it, but we're going to slide that to the back end of our show. By the way, next week, just a programming note, we're going to do Tuesday, right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to do Tuesday. It'll be out Wednesday morning on our podcast.
Just next week.
Channel,
We're not
just
moving to
next week.
Tuesday. Yeah.
No, we're not moving. But we are going to do Tuesday next week. But starting next week, it's going to be Gunslingers first because the Gunslingers are in season, and it's time that we really give them the attention that they deserve. And man, do they deserve it because they're 4-0. They have won 3 straight games on the road and against 3 of the better teams in the National Arena League. Let's start talking a little bit about our San Antonio Gunslingers. You guys both got an opportunity to go out to the watch party on Sunday. How did that go?
It was great.
You were there longer, so you go first.
Yeah. So it was great. There was a lot of people there. I think a lot more than the previous watch party or parties. I would estimate around 50, 60 people. We were on the outside of Alamo Beer rather than inside this time around as we spread out with all the different tables. They had gear there for sale, jerseys, hats, stickers. They did raffles and giveaways. They gave away some stickers. They gave away a cool cooler, little mug, like a thermos, I think.
Sure.
Those who had pre-ordered jerseys, custom-made jerseys before the season, were able to get those delivered at the watch party. And if they weren't able to be there, you can pick them up at the next home game. I know they're reaching out to people that are in that group. But it was a big turnout. We had a great time watching the game with familiar faces and new faces. And we had the gunslinger bandit there who was riling up the crowd and cheering everybody on. Yeah, he's great. It was good to have him there, and he had a great time. It was his first time at a watch party, and we got the win. Went 4-0 in convincing fashion.
Yeah,
against
Lafayette,
which wasn't a foregone conclusion, by the way, because Lafayette had looked pretty strong leading up to Fayetteville. My bad. Had looked pretty strong up to this game. And the Gunslingers really made a statement. Those people out there, we kind of joked about it a little bit afterwards. Those people out there are the naysayers who say, yeah, they've won 3 games by whatever it is, 3 points or 4 points total. They can't use that against us anymore. So
no, well, and I'm still seeing that kind of stuff. Last night on one of the NAL boards in Facebook, somebody broke out. One of the Albany fans broke out. Well, yeah, they're 4-0, but they could just as easily be 1-3. But we're not. We're 4-0, and winning close games is harder than winning games that you lead the whole game.
Yep, that's very true.
The 3 other wins that we have were way more difficult than this game against Fayetteville. They're not 1-3. They're not 2-2. They're not 2-1. They are 4-0. They have 2 games on everybody else, a game and a half, I guess, on Carolina. But they have 2 games nearly on everybody else in the league. They are starting to separate themselves. And that whole conversation started when he said, there's not really any dominant team in the NAL. And I just posted the standings, and I was like, I don't know, man. One looks
Other
pretty
than the
dominant to
Gunslingers.
me.
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate.
Uh, watch party. Did you guys get rained on at all? I know it was kind
I
of.
think it was a drizzle, like
It was a
barely at the
drizzle.
end. Barely at the end.
Yep,
And
it was a
I got
no,
there
go
a
ahead.
little late, right? I sat with Leo and Dolores and Michael and Stevo and the new
Mhm.
Brahma, Heidi. She's my ride and die everywhere I go. She shows up, and that's great. And then we saw Jeffrey Pedroza from back in the days.
One of the
Um,
original gunslingers.
Yes, and he
Yep.
was so sweet. He's like, "Mama RC," and he gave me a big hug. It's just really great to see some of these players. They're still playing, maybe not certain leagues, maybe semi-pro, pro, but they were still able to connect with them. And I think that's one of the greatest things. What I love about this podcast is that we all have one thing in common. We have football in common, and we want
Right.
these men to succeed. Whether it be the spring league, whether it be the XFL, whether it be the NAL. And I think knowing that we can get behind them as a city, as a podcast, as fans, is truly amazing. And just to feel the energy there that was there yesterday. I mean, Kali Rashad's family was there.
Mhm.
The bandit was there. I think his wife Vanessa was there. There was even strangers. I was taking pictures, and I was like, "Are you guys here with the Gunslingers?" And they're like, "No, but tell us more about it." I was like, "All right, here we go." And
Caleb
so,
Roller's family was there.
yes,
I
Mhm.
know
Roller's
Brandon. I know
yes.
Brandy ain't missing a watch party.
No.
No, God, no, God, no. But it was really, really nice to see so many fans in their gear, and some of these fans that we just saw in the XFL. So like they're jumping over. We're going back and forth. You know what I mean? We
The
can
way it should be.
support both teams.
Yeah.
There's no one. Oh, if you only support this team, you can't support that team. That's that's a fallacy. That's not true. I mean, we
That's
can
that's
support.
bull is what that is.
Yeah, it
We
really is.
have honestly heard from folks who have
Mhm.
said you got to be all one or all the other, and to those we have roundly said why? Why? Why
Don't
can't we
get
be
it.
fans of the Brahmas and the Gunslingers? Why can't we be a show that covers both of them? Why? Why do we have to pick one or the other? They're not in the same league. They're not in the. They're not playing against each other. And even if
Mhm,
they were, they're both San Antonio professional football, and that's what we've always said we're all about.
mhm.
So there's no reason to have to choose between these two entities, and we're just not going to do it. And it's gotten us.
Nope.
We've lost some
Followers.
opportunities. We've lost some opportunities. Not anything from either team. Neither team has ever had an issue with it.
Mm-mm.
No.
Um,
Mm-mm.
but some of the folks in and around some of these communities have kind of said, "Well, you can't post your stuff here because it's not all this or it's not all that." Okay, then we'll do our
Fine.
own thing.
Don't tell us what to
Uh,
do with our show.
right. I don't get. I'm like Mo. Mo says I don't get having to choose. I don't either, man. I just don't. I don't understand why there are folks out there that feel like you can't do both because you can.
And
Um,
today's show proves how from the Commanders to the XFL, we've supported Brian, we've supported other
for
Mhm.
sure.
commanders, even the coaches. So I don't see why there has to be a division because the XFL should not be even getting a whiff of all this. You know what I mean? Because we're supporting football, period.
Absolutely. So, uh, watch party was great. I joked several times with Ralph because I spent most of the game on the phone with Ralph Judkins. He's the um, play-by-play voice of the Gunslingers when they're in town on the broadcast. He and I talked through a lot of the NAL games at this point, and I had a conversation with him, and I said, "Are there more people at y'all's watch party there than there are in the stands at Fayetteville? Because
Wow.
Fayetteville is
Close.
struggling.
They
They're
are not,
struggling attendance
yeah.
wise, and I think I have it figured out. And if by chance anyone in the NAL, which by the way, the NAL commissioner followed us on Twitter the other day.
Yeah.
Um, if anybody in the NAL or anybody at Fayetteville is listening, you got an army base right there in Fayetteville. You need to take tickets to the Fayetteville Mustangs games and just go make it rain all over that army base and bring
Mhm.
people in for free all the rest of the season if it takes it.
Mhm.
And build some fans for
Yep.
Fayetteville because it's too good a product and you have too good a team to see 300 or 400 people show up for the game. Man, get people in those seats. Um, that was rough to watch on just the attendance side of things.
Another
But we
thing
know we were
that was
there
rough.
last year doing the
That's
same
true.
thing.
That's true. I was going to say it was rough to watch. The field, I did not like the color of the field. Did it bother anybody else? It reminded me of sand. Or am I the only one?
Alex McSwain uses some logic here. He says, under that argument, it sounds like you can't cheer for high school football because you watch the NFL.
Right.
I mean, good point. So
Yeah, the color of the field, as RC says. So that was the
Different.
it is a what do you call it? Transported or a donated
yeah,
turf from a previous famous team you might have heard of called the LA Kiss.
the
It's
LA
very
Kiss,
recognizable, very recognizable. So that is a transplanted. That's the word I was looking for.
There you go.
Transplanted
Okay.
turf. Yeah, it's a
It
lighter
is.
color, but
It is odd. You do see it in the arena game pretty often that people get wild with their colors. There was a time where there was some talk and even an attempt at one point for the Gunslingers to play on a blue field. Um, I'm glad we have
the
our
blue
green
monster.
field. I'm glad we, but that's something that happens in arena ball occasionally. Alex McSwain says you can still kind of see the kiss on that guitar pick shape right in the center of the field. You're
Yep.
right,
Yep.
you can. Um, on the field, the game went pretty much like I expected. Look, going into this game, I'm part of a Discord channel that Inside the Walls runs, and we do a pick. We do a pick 'em every week. And this was about a 50-50 pick. Some people were picking Gunslingers,
Mhm.
some people were picking Fayetteville. It was about a 50-50 pick. And I looked at it and said, look, maybe I'm just a homer because I'm a San Antonio Gunslingers fan. But San Antonio, up till this game, had beat Carolina, Albany, and Jacksonville.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Fayetteville had a 2-1 record. They had lost to Jacksonville. They had beat Orlando and
Mhm.
West Texas. So I'm looking
Mhm.
at it going, I don't think this game is even close. I think San Antonio runs away with it. And I'll be honest with you, Leo, you may disagree. I thought this was the weakest game the Gunslingers have played all year.
I don't disagree with that. I understand where you're coming with that. I think it was a little bit sloppy, uh, than what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
I think we were a couple of Kali Rashad drop passes away from really blowing that game open.
Yes.
And I know Kali is probably, doing some self-imposed push-ups at some point because of the drop passes. That's very unkali like, and you
Sure.
could see his frustration on a couple of those. And he still had a great game. He's always going to have an impact on the game, but it could have been even more had it not been for just. It seemed like he and Arvell Nelson were just a little bit out of tune, out of sync
Yeah.
in the
Absolutely.
Out of
beginning.
sync.
Mhm.
And if Kali was right here, he would say the same thing. I don't think he would.
Oh, I'm
I think
sure.
he would agree with us. He
Oh
was
yeah,
having an off day.
He had an off day. I don't feel like Arvell Nelson played as well as he has in some other games. Our
Mhm.
defense was on. It might have been their best game on that side of the ball all season. And they're not playing. Look, Fayetteville has Rakeem Cato has played great at quarterback this season so far, and they've got Kendrick Ings, who is one of the best receivers in the game. One of the guys that can just break open a game. He is Fayetteville's Kali Rashad, and he
Yes.
is on that kind of level where he can break open games just the same way that Kali could break them open. But I really thought they played their weakest game and won by the biggest margin uh, that they have won by so far this season.
I think that says a lot.
Yep.
James Palmer
I
checking in
agree.
on Facebook says they seem to rattle Cato. Our defense did. They sure did.
Yeah, they
And
did.
that was one thing I was looking at going into this game. The one really suspect spot of Fayetteville has been their offensive line, and they had one of their starting offensive linemen suspended for the game.
Mhm.
So They were weak along the offensive line, and Justin Alexander was going to get back there and create havoc, and he did. Even they only had 1 sack, I believe.
Yeah, it didn't translate into sacks on the stat sheet, but it was very disruptive and forced a couple of turnovers because of it as well. Timely ones.
It did. Absolutely. They did not play great, but they got the win, and that's what's important. They're 4-0 now. They get another bye week, which is kind of a bummer as a fan. I'm like, no, I want to play. I want to have games. But they have a bye week, and then they go to West Texas. And West Texas is getting better. They got a win against Albany this week, but this is not even this is one of those. This is absolutely a trap game.
Trap game.
This is absolutely a trap game because there is no reason whatsoever they shouldn't win this game. Like there is
no.
You look at it on paper and there is no chance that West Texas beats San Antonio. And if they start thinking that way, that's where you get that's where trap games come in. I don't expect that from Coach Shaw. I know his philosophy of 1-0 every week.
1-0.
And they're going to be concentrating on West Texas and beating the Warbirds. Hey, that game's just 5 hours away. You guys want to go?
A lot of people have
El
been
Paso?
bringing that up and saying we talked about
Not in
Caleb
El
Rollers.
Paso.
No, it's not El Paso.
No.
It's
It's
Odessa.
Odessa.
I was thinking of we did what league do we have a team in El Paso? But they
that was
the
AAL.
Oh yeah. Oh, that league.
We never even had a game there.
Yeah, they couldn't even get a field going, remember?
Yeah, we won't go back there.
My geography's off.
There are some people talking about making that road trip. I got asked at the watch party if I was willing to be one of those, and I said I don't know yet. That's a big commitment. And there's a lot going on the next couple of weekends, obviously. So
it's May.
I'm not
May
saying it's out of the question.
Busy time.
But yeah, that's a long drive, especially in West Texas, where there's not a whole lot to see during that drive. Nothing interesting. Not. It's a long drive through the West Texas, which there's not a lot to see. Speaking of players struggling, I am not surprised that Alex McSwain will be there. He is a big time fan.
Good job.
And I'm happy to see that. And maybe I'll join you. I don't know. I just can't commit at this time. Speaking of players struggling that we talked about, I want to make 2 points, 2 separate players. One, because I absolutely agree. It was brought up by Michael Wayne Davis, who was asking there at the watch party, and he kind of was wondering about Drew. Drew had an off game. Pearson, we're talking about the kicker, Drew, Deuce and Drew. And it seemed like a lot of his kicks. We thought going into this game, this was going to be a good opportunity for some deuces, which we haven't had up to this point in the season, and from a kicker who has holds a record in this league now as far as deuces. And a lot of it will say, well, it's because of the Jumbotron, getting around the Jumbotron, and they're in the way. Well, this venue didn't have a Jumbotron in the middle.
Nope.
So there was absolutely no obstruction and no reason to not attempt and go for those deuces. And it seemed almost as if he wasn't even trying to go for them, or he's just not, it's not in his leg right now. Michael Wayne Davis kept saying, is there something wrong? Is he dealing with an injury? Because the power that we're used to seeing off of his kicks wasn't there. A lot of those kicks were ending up short, coming up down, even short of the end zone. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I really don't know if he's dealing with something right now or not, but I could certainly see what he was concerned about.
For those of you that are new to NAL and new to indoor football, the NAL has a rule on any kickoff. If you kick the ball from your goal line, which is where kickoff starts from, through the uprights on the other end of the field, you get 2 points. It's called a deuce. and they get the ball on the 10-yard line. So it is an opportunity for you to add to your score. You could technically end up with 10 points on a touchdown. If you score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, and then drop a deuce, you could wind up with 10 points on a touchdown. So it's just a scoring irregularity that doesn't exist in other other styles of the game, but it does absolutely exist in the NAL. And Drew Pearson, who is our kicker, was able to lay some near the end of the season, was able to really become uh, a surgeon at finding
Mhm.
his way into the uprights. And this season, we haven't seen a lot of it. And I was like you, Leo. I really expected Fayetteville because there were no obstructions. He would have the opportunity to go directly for it, and most of his kicks were short.
Very short. Makes me wonder if there's something there. I thought, we weren't sure about the travel arrangements, and I was thinking we might be able to have Coach on the show this week. And I was like, I'll ask him and see if he's forthcoming with any information on that. Unfortunately, they're traveling today, so we
Yeah.
couldn't have him on the show this week.
Mhm.
But we'll see how things go against the Warbirds, and maybe that's something we'll ask later if we see this as a trend.
Yeah, we
Um,
would
but
have
I
we
hope
would have
not.
loved to have had players or certainly coach on. They are still on planes and in airports coming back. They won't get in until like 2 or 3 o'clock this morning. So
Definitely having some issues.
we definitely wanted to let them travel without having to try to call in and catch us at the right time, all that kind of stuff. We'll catch up with them throughout the season, but not tonight. Who's your other player that you're worried about, Leo?
not that I'm worried about this one. I was going to give props.
Oh, okay.
Well, we
Even
talked
better.
about Kali Rashad having an off game, and him being a guy that this offense really features a lot. But the other guy that has been equally as big for this offense, and I didn't really see any kind of a setback on as far as his contribution this past week. Philip Barnett
Yes.
has really been, I don't think, given enough credit for what he's
True.
done for the Gunslingers in these 4 games. And he was a big factor once again in Fayetteville, and I just wanted to bring that up.
Well, and that whole wide receiver core, like we talk a lot about Kali, and we should.
Mhm.
But we can't forget that Philip Barnett is out there, Brian Robinson's out there, Kadir
Mhm.
Chisholm,
Kadir, yep.
all of
Kadir's
those guys
awesome.
are
Kadir had
playing
a huge game.
incredible. Sure did, sure did. Uh, yeah, we need to point to those guys as well. It's funny. There was a lot of drama over the last week in the National Arena League.
There has been.
Some crazy stuff happened in Albany, and what it ended up creating was an opportunity where the two-time defending championship Albany Empire dropped about half their team onto the league. They
Mhm.
released big names, Darius Prince, Nick Hague, just some big names came available, and I fielded questions from several people all week about, hey, who should the Gunslingers pick up? And I'm like, nobody. I mean, maybe an offensive lineman if we could get a hold of one, which we did.
Mhm.
We did end up with an offensive lineman coming over from Albany, but I didn't want to. Here's the thing: you've only got a roster so big, and if I bring in Darius Prince, do I want Darius Prince? Sure, that'd be great, but do I want him to take away stuff from um,
Our
Kali
players.
Rashad or
Yeah.
Philip Barnett or Kadir Chisholm? Like I don't need that.
Yep.
Sam Castronova was the MVP
Mhm.
of the league last year at quarterback, and somebody said, "Hey, do you want him in San Antonio?" And I'm like,
Mm,
"No."
Mhm.
And then
Hard pass.
I got Arvell Nelson. What do I need? What do I need? This is working, and the chemistry is there. Why would I
Mhm.
mess with that?
We're 4-0, baby.
We're 4-0. Um, the issue in Albany, if you're one of those folks that's been tracking all of this, you will recognize the name Michael Hall. Michael Hall is the kicker in Albany, and he is actually the lightning rod for a lot of the drama that they had in Albany over the last week. He caused a lot of problems in their locker room, and players ended up leaving the team. Coaches ended up leaving the team. And a lot of it came down to Michael Hall creating some of that drama. Not all of it, but some of it. Michael Hall got added to their roster after their other kicker got pulled up to the Canadian Football League. So is locker room chemistry a thing? Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh yeah. Because they were fine. They were a championship level team.
Mm-hmm.
And then their kicker gets called up, which is a good thing, gets called up to the Canadian League, and they bring in a guy off TikTok, which is kind of funny, to be their new kicker, and he injects himself in such a way that ends up causing some problems, and drama that we don't even know the full scope of. We just know that there are issues. Coach Tom Manas, who is back with Albany, has already released that kicker. He kicked for him this weekend because he had to. He needed a kicker, and he had to have somebody kicking. But as soon as that game was over, he released Michael Hall because he didn't want that on his team anymore. So
He said, you kick, go ahead and kick rocks.
yeah. So while there's
Back
some
to
great,
TikTok.
yeah, go back and make some TikTok. So while there were some great players and they are landing all over the place, Sam Castronova, who was the MVP of the league last year, is now in Jacksonville. That makes them a better team. We just got word today that one coach, Damian Ware, and about 4 players, big names from Albany, are all going to wind up in Orlando. That makes them a better team. Some of those players, Trevon Short, wound up in West Texas. That makes them a better team. So in the long run, this is actually really good for the league. It spread out some talent that was all kind of in Albany, and it made 3 other teams better. And Albany won't be down long. Tom Manas will figure it out. He's already got a new quarterback. You know what his name is? Jonathan Bain. We released our rights to Jonathan Bain.
That name sounds familiar.
He's going to go to Albany and play in Albany. So Albany's not going to be down very long. And these other 3 teams are going to get better. It ended up being a really good thing for the XFL or for the NAL.
Yeah.
But
now we have Albany South in Orlando almost. Yeah.
For sure. For sure. And we have not played them yet. Like we haven't had an opportunity to get a win on them before they get all of these other players in. So now we got to beat them with all these good players. That's fine. We can do that because we've got the best players in the league. Like we have the best team in the league.
We do.
We just
But
do.
I still would like to be a fly on that wall when they had the whole Bain situation.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened with that. I did reach out to Jonathan Bain when he was released by the Gunslingers and say, hey, it looks like the Gunslingers gave you your release. He said, yeah, I wish nothing but the best for the Gunslingers, but I'm going to go play somewhere else here in the NAL. Turned out it was in Albany. I also reached out to team ownership and said, hey, looks like you guys were able to release Bain. And they said, yeah, we wish him nothing but the best. We look forward to seeing him wherever he ends up in the NAL. Everybody's okay with each other.
The best.
Yeah, everybody's okay with each other. It's just not the way, it just didn't work out with Bain. And we've talked a little bit about why that may be or what some of those issues may have been. Ultimately, he's going to get to go play on a really good team with a really good coach. We have a really good quarterback here in Arvell Nelson. No harm, no foul. Everybody's good. We'll beat them for the championship or in the playoffs or whatever.
That's fine.
And wipe the floor with Bain. That's fine. That's fine. I was going to have our time cheering for Bain anyway because he broke Batman's back. I mean, how do you cheer for the guy that broke Batman's back?
Okay.
Yeah, dude. Now he's part of the evil empire, so works out perfect.
Never.
So we get a bye week. We are on top of the league. The closest team to us is the Carolina Cobras. They are 2-1. They are coming off a bye, and they will play the Empire this week while we're on a bye. So I don't know that I'm cheering for anybody. I mean, it'd be cool to see the Empire come up and beat them and bring them back down another game away from us. But I'm not there. There is no team in this league that I'm really scared of. I think the Gunslingers are by far the dominant team in the league right now. And I'm not worried about any of these teams. I'm not worried about Albany. I'm not worried about Jacksonville. I'm just not.
I'll tell you, there's one team in the league that the Gunslingers need to be afraid of.
The
One
Gunslingers.
team that they need to be concerned about, and that is the San Antonio Gunslingers.
Sure.
Right now, they're only capable of beating themselves if they don't, play the way they're capable of. So yeah, that's the team they need to be afraid of, and they need to beat every single week. Look at themselves in the mirror. Yep.
Raul Nava says if we didn't have such amazing receivers, we could have brought in Prince for sure. Sure.
Yeah.
If we
don't
didn't
need it.
have the guys we had, I would have wanted Prince. I kind of wanted Prince anyway, just because he's that good. But as I looked at it, I was like, but I don't want to lose any of these other guys, and you have to
Mm-mm.
make room. Last week, I think we talked about Nick Hague, who was an who had hit the waiver wire. The thing is, he's a linebacker, fullback, and to bring him in, I've got to lose Pierre Thomas or Cody
gonna do
Brooks,
it.
and I don't want to
Mhm.
lose either one of those guys.
Nope.
So Nick Hague is going to go play in Orlando. Awesome. Wish
Good
him
for
the
him.
best. Alex McSwain saying Gunslingers are pulling ahead. Everyone else is competing for second place. That's absolutely true. They are competing for second place. Look, it's a long season, so we haven't won anything yet. We haven't done anything yet. If you remember, we started out terribly last season, and we ended up working our way into the playoff picture. So nothing is set this early in the season. But man, they look good.
They do
They
look good.
just look really good. I really think they're the dominant team. I think everybody in the NAL has to look at them and go, that's who we've got to beat. If we want a championship, we're going to have to beat those guys at some point.
I'm
The
sure they're
road is
watching a
going to
lot
go
of our
through the
film.
Gunslingers. Sure. Absolutely. Alex McSwain got that name for me, by the way. It's McQuell Harvey is our new offensive defensive lineman
Yep.
from the Albany Empire. And that is the one area that we kind of needed to bolster our ranks a little bit. I feel like our offensive line has been a little suspect at times, but we'll get to
We'll welcome
Chicago.
him to the team.
Absolutely.
I did want to
Ralph,
mention that on May 28th, it seems long away from now, but it is going to be military appreciation game.
it is.
And the game that day is going to be at 3 p.m. So again, um, Sunday, May 28th, the game is at 3 o'clock, which is an early game. We appreciate that. It's going to be the San Antonio Gunslingers military appreciation game. So that's important to share.
So now, Philip, you did say it's a long season, but I will have to say, I don't know if people realize that at 4-0 now, we're 1/3 of the way through the season
We are.
of 12 games. So season's getting shorter as we keep going, and we still have that zero in the loss column. So things are looking pretty good for the Gunslingers. They're exactly where they wanted to be. So.
And Ralph Judkins, the voice of the Gunslingers. I don't think he actually calls himself the voice of the Gunslingers. He is the play-by-play for the Gunslingers. Says the first 500 on May 28th get a patriotic Gunslingers hat. I want
Well,
one.
thank you for that.
I want one
Nice.
of
Good
those.
information. Thank you for sharing.
It is military appreciation. We will be playing the Jacksonville Sharks. I'm almost certain, which will be a really good game. Sam Castronova is set up there, and he will have time to, be connected in there. So that's going to be good. So the Gunslingers are 4-0. They are kind kind of running the league, and they've got a bye week this week. We go to West Texas in 2 weeks on the 20th, and that's going to be great. Now, we've already alluded to it. We've talked a little bit about it, but we're going to end the show tonight by sweeping back over to XFL Championship stuff because we have another guest. I'm going to put that in air quotes, guest, hanging out with us. Boy, am I glad I didn't throw you on the screen for that, Dirty. He was giving us a mean little gesture there. Dirty from the X-Fan Show and the B-Hawk Live Show. He's going to be down here in San Antonio this weekend for the championship. What's going on, Dirty?
First and foremost, Phil, I apologize because I messed your logo up. You never got it to me like I asked you, Phil. So I just had to find the one that we could find and put it out there. So I apologize. Secondly, I have to thank the great and lovely RC sitting right next to me for helping put all of this together at the Alamo Beer Company. And let's see, can I share things on here with you guys?
I don't know.
Let's see. I'm going to find out right now.
Thank you, Dirty.
Can you guys see? Oh, here we go. Watch. There we go. Look at that. There it is. Woo-hoo! This is where we're going to be at right here at the Alamo Beer Company. Yeah, you got to do all that stuff. I can't do all that stuff there. So, yeah. So, what I'm going to take that off. Okay, you can take that off now. I don't know how to do it. I don't know. It's not I'm not used to doing this, right? But I mean, I don't know if you guys realize what we are getting ready to accomplish come this Friday, right? We are going to accomplish, and this is something that I've worked for 4 years. Me and Arlington have worked for this for 4 years, right? What we're going to accomplish at this XFL champion, at the X-Fan Legion, whatever the hell you want to call us or whatever, right? We are going to accomplish that we have all these different shows from all these different cities in one location doing a show together. Please do not bring her on, Phil. Please do not bring her
We love
on.
Amanda. You can't say that.
I can because I have to deal with her on a regular basis. You guys don't. I do. I mean, look. See all this? This
That's
is from
Amanda?
her and my 6 kids. But anyways, I mean, do you guys realize what we're getting ready to accomplish here?
I think it's amazing.
So there was conversation all the way back in 2019, Dirty, when we were doing the AAF stuff. And I know people are kind of tired of hearing about it, but that's our point of reference.
Oh, well.
There was conversation back then of, hey, when we get to championship week, we should gather all of these podcasts that are reporting on this league together and do this thing together.
Yes.
And so we've been talking about doing something like this for 4 years. And it's finally going to happen because we're finally going to finish a spring football season.
Yeah. And I mean, this has always been the dream, right? Always been the dream of mine to get all of these shows together. Like I said, back in 2020, it would have been a different story. I would have been trying to destroy everybody, right? But now, I mean, if you were talking about the Battlehawks RC, yes, I'd have tried to destroy you. If you were talking about the Battlehawks. So, but no, I'm a more seriously. You had to do this.
Y'all always let him on the show, but you don't let me on the air.
You're on right now, girl.
I have never not let you on the air, Amanda. Anytime you come on.
Always
I have
welcome.
Never kept you on.
We don't care what Dirty says.
Me neither.
Keep going, Dirty. Keep going, Dirty.
Yeah,
All
you were saying Dirty. Go
Before
ahead.
I was rudely interrupted by my hyena of a co-host right over here.
Okay.
On Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock, B-Hawk Live. But this Thursday, we broadcast from Murphy's on 21 at 7 o'clock for a pinball tournament. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Now I'm a much calmer Dirty. I'm a much more relaxed Dirty. And this is now about growing the fan bases. And I am actually excited. Like when me and Amanda found out that the championship game was going to be in San Antonio, I was like, that's the perfect place. The perfect place for the championship game. The way that you guys are down there, the passion you guys have for football and all of that, I'm like, it is absolutely perfect to have the first championship game there. Plus, logistically, money-wise, it makes sense. So for us to come down and RC, for you to be helping us, Jorge to be helping, getting us the Alamo Beer Company, all of that stuff was a big, because I'm like, where are we going to do this at? And of course, I got, her over here. I'm like, you need to call this person and get it taken care of for me.
Yeah,
She's like,
thanks,
all right.
RC, for all your help.
welcome.
Seriously, it's so sweet of you.
Yeah. So,
I'm
I mean, it's
jealous
going to
of
be
you guys.
interesting.
I was just saying, I'm jealous of you guys that are going to be able to be there on Friday night. I wish I could, but I've got family obligations with the graduation stuff. I will say this: make sure you try. It's not something that's always brought up on the menu, but I as a suggestion, I tried it this last time when we were there for the watch party.
Mhm.
Their peach. They have a variety of ciders. Their peach cider is out of this world, amazing, really good.
Mind blowing. So good. Amanda, you have to try it.
I
Amanda,
will try it.
Leo's trying to kill me, isn't he?
Yeah,
Leo's trying to kill me,
I think
isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Leo. Really appreciate it there, pal.
Anytime, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
They also have an amazing brisket grilled cheese sandwich. Go
Yes.
with that. Go with that. It's
Oh
solid.
yeah.
Very solid.
Oh,
So now Phil's trying to kill me.
look at that.
Yeah.
Come on, dirty. Come on,
I know.
cochino. Come on, cochino.
All right, it's
Out.
gonna be. I mean, look, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good to be there and to have all these shows there, to everybody talk about their experiences and all of that stuff. And that's why I wanted to do it. That's why I wanted to put it all together. And I'm glad that the Smoking Guns is involved with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you guys are involved. You guys have been huge supporters of ours. We've been huge supporters of yours.
Yes.
I was like, oh, wait, it's Monday. I'm like, Jesus, I got to get on. Smoking Guns is on. I was out door dashing. So I was like, I got to get on. So, yeah. So, Phil, are you going to show up, Phil?
I am not. I will not be able to be there. I am performing a wedding on Saturday, and so Friday night is the rehearsal dinner, and the pastor has to be there for the rehearsal.
Okay, so who is showing up from the show?
RC.
RC.
All right, so
she's
then
gonna
RC,
represent us.
let's kick out Leo and Phil, and let's
You get
three
the
of us
best.
talk since they're not going to be there.
Hey,
You
I
get the
could.
best part of our show. You
She
get
is.
RC.
Yes.
I mean,
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
agree. Just saying.
I can try and pop in by phone if you guys have the capability of doing that from there. I don't know if you can, but I can try and pop in for a few minutes. But yeah, we'll be in the middle of the graduation dinner for my daughter. So
Well, Heidi, thank you for showing up. Hey, listen, you guys always know what I've said on the X Fan Show and B-Hawk Live. It's about family. Family comes first and all of that stuff, and that's what this really is. It's a family.
Mhm.
So as
Yes.
long as RC is there representing Smoking Guns, then the family's there. You see what I'm saying?
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
You
So-
know,
so who's going to win this game? There is a football game this weekend, by the way.
there is
Yes.
a football game this weekend.
Is
right?
there? I didn't know there was. I
I
didn't
thought that was
know.
tailgating.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, has the XFL produced anything about a championship game? Do we know anything? They showed us the menu.
Mm-mm.
That's the only
That's a
thing they've
good
showed
point.
us, right?
That's it.
Mm-mm.
See, you guys have a working relationship with the XFL, so I'm going to be
They-
good because I don't. But
They
anyways,
showed us. They showed us the trophy. We've seen the trophy.
right?
They
Oh,
have
you
been
mean the
pushing out-
blender? The blender, right?
Yeah.
No, Amanda,
Yeah.
stop. They have a relationship
Oh.
with the XFL. We don't. Stop. Be nice. Be nice.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm not a big fan of trophy either, Amanda. We were actually going to have the designer of the trophy on today, but
Yes, we were.
she
I think she
She
heard
wasn't
that
able to-
Philip wasn't a fan and said,
yeah, she heard I
Oh,
didn't
no.
like her trophy, so she didn't come on the show.
good
Oh,
job, Phil. Good job, Phil. Good job. So
But
we
I
have
do.
the game, right? Look here. I have. Oh,
Go
no.
Renegades.
I'm missing one hat. What did you just say?
I'm on Camp Renegades now. If you watch the first half of our show, you'll know
Did
why.
you watch the
what
first
did
half?
you say?
You didn't watch the first half, did you?
No, I said I
No,
was busy
he was
working.
door
Yeah.
dashing.
Oh
I
yeah,
was out
well,
door
Yeah.
dashing, making extra money so I could go down there and spin it on Brahma's gear and XFL Championship gear.
Go back and listen to our first hour where we had Brian Folkerts from the Renegades on. Just a great guy, and I would love to see him wind up with a championship.
I mean, I
I'm
do,
getting my wardrobe together. See?
yeah,
Oh,
I
love
do
it.
like Brian
Priority.
Folkerts. He is a good player. I'm gonna lean more. I mean, listen, Phil, you'd watch the show, and me and Arlington had said that with Luis Perez, if you'd put Luis Perez with the Renegades sooner than what they did, that might be a different type of team.
Yep.
Right.
Because what
You're
they
right.
did in the last 3 weeks, going 2-1, in those last 3 weeks, so with Perez playing, this would be a different team.
Yeah.
But what we've seen from DC, just the way that defense is, Well, hold on. Take that back. Let's rewind the tape a little bit. That defense hasn't been good the last couple of weeks. They've been dropping some points. But with Jordan Abram Smith, in my opinion, unlike other websites saying that, making out false claims that A.J. McCarron is the actual MVP when it's actually Jordan Ta'amu.
So you missed it in the first hour. We talked MVP talk.
Uh-huh.
I think it should be Abram Smith.
I
Mhm.
100% agree.
But
Here's the
But-
but.
based on the way the end of season awards have come out, Jordan
Mhm.
Ta'amu was first team quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
all XFL, and he was the offensive player of the year. I am almost certain that your boy Nooch is going to be the MVP.
So you ready for this?
Oh,
I'm gonna give you guys a spoiler. There is no MVP of the XFL because the XFL
Oh.
already announced all of their awards, and all of the awards have been
Wow.
announced. So there is
Nope.
not going to be an MVP.
He'll be an MVP.
It
I
has
don't
to be for
know.
the game, for the last game.
For the championship game, there might be, but for the XFL overall, there is not going to be an MVP.
And if there's
Yeah,
an MVP, it definitely will not be Nooch.
I'm thinking it could be. I'm thinking they may name.
MVP
Ben
has to show a
DiNucci.
little bit more respect and.
Oh,
truth
okay,
than
I didn't
he
say it
does.
was the right choice.
Can you
I
mute
just
her?
said it was. I
Can you
could.
mute
You
her?
you can't do that today.
I could, but
You
I'm not
can't
gonna.
mute me today. Uh-uh.
So
Back to the game. Back to the
if
game.
they had given one or the other of those awards to Ben
Uh-huh.
DiNucci, either the quarterback of the XFL all XFL team or offensive player of the year, I would say they're going to do the right thing and give Abram Smith the MVP. But given that they gave them both to Jordan Ta'amu, I think they were setting it up so that they can say Ben DiNucci is your MVP.
See, so I don't know. From what I've seen and from everything that I've heard, there is not going to be an MVP. From my sources from inside the league, that there's not going to be an MVP. All the awards have been announced, and there's not. The stuff that we've seen has just been from the other websites saying, "Oh, this is what I think and what I think." And I mean, to be honest, I still think, and as much as you guys, everybody knows, I love the Nooch. I still don't think it would be the Nooch. I still think it should be Abram Smith. You take Abram Smith off
Let's
of
disagree.
that team.
Did he just say what I thought he said?
You take Abram Smith off of that team, and that's a different DC team.
It is.
That's true. Yep.
100% different, right? I think with the guys that they had backing up DiNucci, which, funny stat for DiNucci, do you know that DiNucci played every single snap for 11 weeks except one, and that was in week 1. Montez Ford had one pass attempt for no yards. Ben DiNucci was the only quarterback that played every single snap except for one for 11 weeks. So regardless of what you want to say about DiNucci, he's shown that he is reliable and durable, for sure. Now, you asked me about the game. I'm very torn because we had Taylor Russolino on, right?
Mhm.
The other day on the show. I got a man crush on Jordan,
Yep.
right?
You know.
We know that.
Greg Williams, I didn't realize it, but Greg Williams was married to the great Mike Shannon, broadcaster for the Cardinals, right? So here's what I'm going to tell you. I am bringing this
Here we-
flag with me.
Okay.
I'm bringing this hat with me. And I'm bringing my Renegades hat, which I don't have with me down here in the studio. I'm bringing that with me. And I'm rooting for the offenses. But I will pick DC because
Weak.
of the way they've played.
Wah, wah, wah.
DC will win this
Okay.
game.
I thought
DC
you
will
weren't
win.
gonna make a pick. You were just gonna toe that line,
Right?
I always
and I was
always
calling
toe
you
that line.
out. I was like, weak.
I always know that line. But I think DC will win. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people think. I don't think this is going to be a steamroll by DC, but I do think DC will win the game because they're just so well balanced.
Amanda, what do you
overall.
think?
We don't want to know what she thinks.
It's our show. I ask the questions around
Well,
here.
since his election's over, I'll give you my pick now. I think it's DC.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, not a bad call to make. Look at what they've done
No.
this season. However, I do have to point back to an overtime game that these Arlington Renegades took them to.
Mhm.
It just kind of throws enough doubt in there where I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm not. If they had not had that overtime game, I would be sure that like DC's going to win this game. But that overtime game just gives me just enough of pause to be like, but Arlington could. You never know.
It, Phil, I agree. It does give me that bit of pause, but look what DC, they came back in against Seattle, and Greg Williams completely changed that game plan, and they shut DiNucci down in that second half.
They did.
I mean, Amanda had brought up the point the other day. I mean, all the way up until halfway through the fourth quarter, Seattle only had 24 total yards from the third to the halfway through the fourth quarter in that second half. I mean,
you know how much I love to hear you read stats. Quote stats. You know that I love that and think that's riveting podcast material right there. Is you reading stats. But I'm gonna have to cut you off because we've been talking for 2 hours. We're all ready to go. So you're both picking DC.
Mhm.
I am picking Arlington. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna pick Arlington.
Good for you. Good for you.
Whoa.
Good for you.
I know. Look at
It's a-
Phil growing
Pull
his
the
stats.
trigger. You pull the trigger. I love it.
It's a better story. It's just a better story.
I go with the Cinderella story, right?
It's just
The
a better
underdog.
Hey, Cody Brooks says they just touched down back in SA, so apparently
Welcome
they're not
home,
going to get
Cody.
it too.
Welcome
Welcome
home,
home.
Gunslingers.
Glad to have the Gunslingers back after they go 4-0.
Victorious.
Leo,
4-0.
you're still Arlington.
Yeah, I'm gonna root for Arlington. Now who we're rooting for or who we're picking.
Pick.
So, okay, because those are two different things, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm rooting for Arlington. If you're asking me who to pick, I'm gonna pick, like, if I were gambling money, I'd have to take DC. I honestly would have to take DC. I think they're the more complete team. I think their run game is hard to stop. They have a very good defense. I won't be surprised if Arlington wins, and I'll be happy for all of our Commander connections up in Arlington. But yeah, I'd have to go with DC. And real quick, I know we're going to move on. Let RC make a pick, but I had to bring up that we're not only having the two visiting teams in our backyard here for the championship of the DC Defenders and the Arlington Renegades. We have another visitor coming to the Alamo Dome that I hear, at least the rumor. We're having the Beer Snake coming to the Alamo Dome. So I've seen online. I don't know if there's any truth to that you've heard, Dirty, but I understand the Beer Snake is going to be making an appearance and actually going to be facilitated by the XFL, since the Alamo Dome doesn't actually serve drinks in cups.
So,
Dirty, did we not post that on our page?
we did, in my sources
You
that I
just
have.
have to carry your beer in your hands like this.
Well,
That's
hold
the
on.
only
Just
one.
like
So
this. Just
I'm
like
gonna
this.
give you guys another little bit of insight. So sources I've heard is yes, the Beer Snake will make an appearance in DC. I know somebody else has said he's going to make an appearance in
San Antonio.
San Antonio. The Beer Snake will show up in the dome for the San Antonio. And I know that another individual said he's going to be there. And I actually have a feeling that this individual will be sitting in the bullpen. Your guys' bullpen. And that's all I'm going to leave it at on the individual that's coming to the game and where he is sitting.
I think I might know who you're talking about, but I want to say this. When it comes to the Beer Snake,
Is it Ben DiNucci? Because he doesn't have anything to do. So is he going to come?
No, it's not
Possibility.
DiNucci.
So, a bunch of drunk DC people
Idiots.
can be capable of doing the Beer Snake, but I don't know about a bunch of drunk San Antonians if we're gonna be able to pull that off.
Okay.
Let's say we'll see. I'm interested to see it. I want to see how that goes.
All right. All right, RC, you've got to pick, and then we got to get out of here because
Okay. Well,
it's time to end this sucker.
behind me, I usually have my Brahma Mama sign, but today I have Dream because dreams do come true. I'm going for the underdog, and I'm going for Arlington. Booyah.
There you go.
Mic drop.
Love it.
Boom.
Yeah. And Phil, you got to give one more cheap plug for May 12th. Alamo
12th.
Beer Company.
Alamo Beer Company and Alamo Beer Company. They take
He's
care
wearing the
of San
shirt.
Antonio. They take care of San Antonio professional football. They have since the Commander days, all the way through the Gunslingers and with the XFL, and that's where you guys are going to be gathering together with all of the podcasts that are part of the XFan network. That is Amanda, and that is Dirty. They are part of the B-Hawk live show. Dirty also does the XFan network. 2 shows a week. What is that? Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Thursdays at 11. Phil, are you joining us tomorrow at 11 o'clock?
I might try to jump on.
Okay.
Yeah.
RC, are you going to join us on Thursday? Talk about the big show. Leo, you're more than welcome, but you said you're not showing up, so I'll leave you out.
Yeah,
Don't do that to him.
I'm
He
sorry.
has very valid reasons.
Remind me, Amanda.
Just so nasty. Just,
All right, Leo, you can
I love
join
your
us.
hair, Amanda.
You can
Thank
join
you.
us Thursday night. How does that sound?
Well, Thursday night's the actual graduation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
See, that's why I
Friday's the
didn't invite him.
graduation dinner. So, yeah, I mean, sorry.
It's okay. I still love you, pal.
Well, you guys can hang out
appreciate
for the end of the show here where I say, hey, when it comes to professional football, whether it be in the arena or on the gridiron, the 100-yard game or the 50-yard fight, professional football up in Carolina, up in Albany, over in Orlando, or even up in Seattle. When it comes to professional football, the 210 has got something to say.
Bang, bang.
That was good. I got chills.